Welcome, everyone, to the fifth meeting of the House Transportation Committee for this session. I would ask our members and our guests if you would please silence your phone. Unless you want to share your phone call with us, we'd be more than happy to help give advice. I would also remind those in the audience and any of those presenting amendments considered at today's meetings that they have been posted to the meeting materials tab on our committee's webpage for this meeting. With that being said, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Branscombe.
Here.
Representative Bridges. Representative Camuel.
Here.
Representative Elliott. Representative Fleming.
Present.
Representative Hale.
Present.
Representative Heverin. Representative Herron.
Here.
Representative Hodgson. Representative Huff.
Here.
Representative Imes.
Here.
Representative Lewis.
Here.
Representative McCool. Representative Mosier. Representative Neighbors. Representative Palumbo. Representative Roberts.
Here.
Representative Smith. Here. Representative Tackett Lafferty. Representative Thomas.
Present.
Representative Upchurch.
Here.
Representative Wesley. Here. Representative Williams.
Here.
Co-Chair Dixon.
Here.
Chairman Blanton.
Present. And Representative Elliott just came in. So we do have a quorum and are constituted to do business. And the first order of business is approval of minutes from last meeting. If I could get a motion. Motion, and do I hear second? Second. All those in favor say aye. And opposed, nay. Minutes are adopted. Do any of our members have any guests they would like to introduce in the audience today? Vice Chair Dixon.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have a guest with me today. JT Payne is joining me today. As of now, JT is the only one signed up for District 11 for state representative. So I want the committee to help me make him feel welcome.
Welcome, and I hope you know what you're getting yourself into. With that, we're going to move through the agenda, and we're going to go out of order. We're going to begin with House Bill 592 with Representative Tom Smith, and Representative Smith has some guests with him. Representative Smith, if when you get seated, if you would introduce yourself for the record, and either you or have your guests introduce themselves as well. Gentlemen, I will ask too, when you speak, please turn on your mic by pushing the button, and you'll get a bright green button light up and speak into the microphone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Representative Tom Odell Smith from the 86th District, and I'd like, before we get into my guests and get into testimony, we need to adopt this committee sub, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and second is made on the committee sub. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This act actually relates to motor vehicle dealers, and the committee sub, what it done was it took out cars and all the dealerships in cars and moved it just to semis, to larger trucks. And with me I have Mr. Marty Catalog from his company, and I'd like to have him introduce himself and his guest and the companies they represent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Marty Kellogg. I work with Worldwide Equipment, and I am the Executive Vice President of Parts and Service.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. I am Gary Kaufman, and I am the Director of Service for Worldwide Equipment.
And just for a quick brief, and I'll turn it over to Marty to explain what the bill does. We're actually trying to help our own dealers in Kentucky with their warranty work. So I'm going to turn it over to Marty to explain what this section does and how it changes their law.
Thank you. Today we have a situation where the component manufacturers manufacture components and parts for the truck manufacturers, and they have agreements. And if we have a big truck come into the dealership today and say we need a widget, a seal, whatever, we have to purchase that a lot of times right from the truck manufacturer. So if the equipment or the component manufacturer charges the truck dealer or the truck manufacturer $50, a lot of times we would pay substantially more than that. When we file the warranty goes back to the original cost of the part, and in several situations we recover less than what we pay for the part.
So, Mr. Chairman, actually what it does, it brings them up to fairness, and this has been passed even more stringent in other states.
So my understanding is you are honoring the warranty of the company that you're selling for, and then when you're having to do warranty work, they're not fully reimbursing you for the cost you're out for that warranty work, but rather for the cost that they can purchase these parts for. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. We operate in good faith. We do the warranty work for the customer. We allow them to take their truck and get back to business, and we file the warranty claim with the truck manufacturer.
And that manufacturer is the one that's issuing this warranty, are they not?
They're issuing the warranty. They use a term called a pass-through warranty, which makes it go right back to the component manufacturer for us to file the claim with.
Very good. Motion and a second on the bill. Is there any questions? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Branscombe. Aye. Representative Bridges. Representative Camuel.
Yes.
Representative Dixon.
Yes.
Representative Elliott. Representative Fleming.
Aye.
Representative Hale.
Yes.
Representative Herron.
Yes.
Representative Heverin. Representative Hodgson. Representative Huff.
Yes.
Representative Imes.
Yes.
Representative Lewis.
Yes.
Representative McCool.
Yes.
Representative Mosier.
Yes.
Representative Neighbors. Representative Palumbo.
Yes.
Representative Roberts.
Yes.
Representative Smith. Representative Tackett Lafferty. Representative Thomas.
Aye.
Representative Upchurch.
Yes.
Representative Wesley. Representative Williams.
Yes.
Chairman Blam.
Aye. House Bill 592 is reported with favorable expression with the committee substitute attached thereto. Thank you, gentlemen, for making the trip up from, I'm assuming, Prestonsburg today.
I came up from Knoxville, but we do have folks from Prestonsburg up here, yes, sir.
Yes, you do. So thank you all for being here with us today. Safe journeys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee.
Next up, we have House Bill 461 with Representative Hale. This bill is not new to this committee. We have passed this bill before, not only from committee, but through the House as well. Representative Hale, if you'll introduce yourself for the record, you may begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I very much appreciate you giving me the opportunity today to present this bill to this committee. As you stated, this is not new. I have been here before.
We
You
do
may-
have a committee sub.
Yes, sir. I would. There is a committee sub, and I would move for adoption of that.
Motion and second on the committee sub. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
No
That-
worries.
That was my next comment, but I have been here before, and I'm sure that most of the members probably know what this bill is or what it's about. This year, it's House Bill 461, which relates to school bus safety. What this bill does is it allows districts across our state, if they so choose, to install cameras on their stop arms, which would only engage in recording images when the stop arm would be activated. It would not be recording any time while the bus was moving. But once the bus came to a stop and the stop arms were engaged, then that recording would begin. 2 years ago, I sat here before this exact committee, and at that time I thought I had, there is no perfect bill, there never has been, but I thought I had almost a perfect scenario for this, because we had vendors that were willing to purchase these cameras at no cost to any school district in the state. They were willing to put those on the buses. Of course, their costs would be reimbursed through the fines that would be levied, a portion of that in that specific. And the reason I'm going back is that I just want to give you up to where we are today. A portion of those fines would be to pay off that cost, and then a portion of that would have went to the school system, the school districts. We were fortunate to get that through this committee. We got it through the House floor by a vote of 87-5. We got it through the Senate committee with 0 votes against. 0. For some reason, we could not get that moved on into a Senate floor hearing. I was told several reasons, but I'll just leave that there. Several districts now today are actually installing these cameras on their own. I know of some in my own district that have actually purchased a few of the cameras. They're a very expensive item. My superintendent, one of my local superintendents, informed me that the cost of one bus was $1,900. To install the camera, the system, the recording system, was approximately $1,900. We have over 8,000 buses in this state, in the state of Kentucky, all the school districts. So you can see that would be a considerable cost. And I will get to, and as I get to the end, and maybe the question was, well, if they're doing it and taking on the cost, what's the reason you're here? And I'll explain that to you in just a moment, if you will allow me to. The last data that I was able to recover on this, and it is somewhat old, I will admit, because we actually went through the COVID era, but the last data that I was able to actually find on this was in 2019. The school districts were contacted actually by the Kentucky Department of Education and were asked to have as many of their drivers that could on a specific set day, if they could, to log violations of people passing an illegal or passing a legally stopped bus. There were 2,848 bus drivers that participated in that one day, and in Kentucky on that one day there were 475 illegal passes. That was with 2,850 drivers, and that's only a fourth. That's only approximately a fourth of the buses that we have on the road. So you can see that probably was extremely more than that. And in that entire year, in this entire state of Kentucky, there were only 138 convictions in the entire state of people illegally passing a stopped bus. This actually even has somewhat of a personal interest to me, because a few years ago, my next door neighbor had a little second grade, 8-year-old boy, was attempting to get off the bus. He had to come out of the bus, cross in front of the bus. I was not there to witness this, but my wife was. And she said this bus, and the lady that was the mother, a car would not stop. It was continuing to come, not at a fast pace, but would not stop. And she got right in the middle of the road and stopped the car. I think there was some confrontation almost occurred at that point. But this happened right in front of my house. And just recently, I know we have some folks from the media here today, but just recently I saw on 2 of our local television stations, 2 of the Lexington stations, the video that had been captured by cell phone video of near misses. One of them was on WKYT, and I think the other one was WTVQ. I'm not sure. But near misses that had been recorded on cell phone video. Sadly, 3 weeks ago, almost to this day, there was a little 8-year-old girl in Georgia that was killed by a driver that did not stop for a bus with the arm extended. She was tragically killed. The lady was a 25-year-old individual. She was not intoxicated. She was tested for drugs on the scene. She had no drugs in her system. Her statement was that I was in a hurry. I was in a hurry. And so I want to just, and I hope I don't take too much time, Mr. Chairman, but this is really a passionate thing for me. It really is. We are protecting or attempting to protect the most vulnerable children exiting and getting on and off of a school bus. And I think it's just really, really important. But let me just give you just a couple of really quick details, and I'll be really brief from here. What this bill, in the bill that I have proposed today, there are a couple changes from last time, and no changes in anything of the way the way that would be distributed to the individual that would commit an act here. But I actually increased the first penalty if you were convicted of passing a bus, and the camera showed that happening. The penalty would be $500 on the first offense. From there, it would be $1,000 on each subsequent offense that would follow. No points would be assessed to your driver's license, and all the recordings would be destroyed within 31 days of the recording happening. One thing that's in the bill that was same as last, it's just a little bit different dollar figure, but I added there that the local sheriff may charge or collect $50 from every civil penalty collected by the county. The recorded image in my bill would not be admissible for any other purpose in any other civil or criminal proceeding. That was just, I wanted to go this path. Some people wanted me to go down that path, but I decided to this would not be admissible in any other offense. If the penalty or the violation would not be paid within 60 days, the county could notify or would notify the Kentucky Department of Transportation, which then could proceed with removing or suspending the registration from that specific driver of that car. Now, there are some things in the bill, and I'll just be real brief about them, that there are appeals. If there would be an appeal from someone that they weren't the driver or it wasn't their car, there's appeals that they can go through their district court. But there would still be a penalty assessed to whomever the driver of that automobile was, even if they were driving someone else's car. So I could go into a lot more detail on that, and I will close with this. I asked you the question a moment ago. Some people might think, well, why are you doing this if some schools are doing this themselves? I really feel if we can pass this out of both of our chambers, that we certainly will have people. And this bill, I'm certainly open to tweaks and ideas. I'm not set in stone about anything that's in here right now. I am set in stone about some things. But I do believe that if we can pass this, we can have companies, vendors that will come into this state and pay for this. And again, this is an incredible cost. I figured this up. If every bus in the state of Kentucky put these on at $1,900, which that's what my superintendent told me, you're looking at about $17 million price tag. So, Mr. Chairman, that is my spiel on House Bill 461 today. I would be glad to answer any questions, and if I can't answer them, I will try to find somebody that can answer them. If there are legal questions, I may have to defer to some of my legal colleagues. But thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity today.
Thank you, Representative Hale. And I will point out the committee sub changes the shall to a may.
One word.
Simply because of the cost. That way it's not a unfunded mandate. Schools can choose to participate if they want to. If they don't, they're not forced to.
Yes, sir. I should have said that. I'm sorry. There is one word. I'm sorry.
Yep. I've got a question dealing with the part you talked about that you chose not to include that this be able to be obtained and admissible And I guess I know you have your reasonings, but so that I can understand, because I can see that admissibility if it captures a situation where a child is injured or, God forbid, loses their life. It could provide evidence for civil penalty court or even for criminal court. There could be evidence captured that would be crucial, that would be along the lines of providing information to help that family or that child to pursue avenues against the offender.
Well, and I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all, Mr. Chairman. But I just, in my opinion, I just felt like that to keep this bill as clean as it could be. There was amendments added to this bill the last time that included that. Could that have been one of the reasons? I'm not really sure, but that there were amendments that it was added, and I agreed to that 2 years ago. Currently, at this point, I would not agree to put that on there, and that's my personal reasoning.
Very good. Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you to the sponsor for bringing this good bill. I do have two quick questions, if I may. My first is about the mechanism for getting the video of a violation to law enforcement. Is that automatic? How does that happen, please?
It's not automatic. In this, the way that I had the bill structured last time, it was automatic. It would have went to through all the AI that we have today, it would have been recorded. It would have went to a processing center, which then would have brought that back to the local law enforcement. The way this is structured right here, this would have to be viewed by the local entity themselves and then brought to the local law agency. So it would not be an automatic feed to them.
Thank you. So if I may, just for clarification,
Yes.
So what you're saying is that basically if I'm a school bus driver and I notice that someone violates it, I could go back to and tell them that there's been a violation and check the camera and offer that up? Is that
Yes,
basically
ma'am.
how that-
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for that clarification. And Mr. Chair, if I may ask one more question.
Yes.
Thank you. Is there anything in here about signage on the buses? I understand absolutely that we want these penalties in place for anyone who violates this. I find that signage saying something along the lines of this bus has one of these cameras and you will be fined can be a great deterrent and could help us to limit these even more. Is there anything about signage in this bill?
Yes, ma'am, there is.
Okay, great. Thank you.
That you would have a signage on somewhere displayed on that bus that actually gave that information that there was a recording device there and recording, but not recording constantly, just recording when the bus stopped and the arm was engaged.
Representative Fleming.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I want to thank Representative Hale for his due diligence and passion and try to get this bill through. And I'm sorry it's taken so long for this General Assembly to get its act together to go forward. But some of the changes you made are very good changes in there and so forth. But I just have a comment, and I spoke with the Representative Hale before this. There is a thought in terms of any money that's collected from this will go back to the school district, particularly when it comes to Jefferson County Public Schools. There's a lot of challenges in transportation. One would help out on the cost to have that go back to the school district. So I have mentioned that to him. He and I will try to figure out what we can do with that. But I just want to make that mention. I do appreciate his passion in doing and making this thing happen.
Mr. Chair, may I respond to that just for a moment?
You may.
And I do appreciate Representative Fleming. He did approach me and we talked, me and him talked about that, and I told him that I would certainly be open to the possibility of that. Yes.
Representative Hodgson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First off, I appreciate your intent to keep school children safe. I think we all are focused on that. My primary concern would be allowing an electronic or computer process to do that instead of a live law enforcement officer. I think the level of penalties are appropriate, but I would like to see these enforced by live law enforcement officers. Also appreciate your handling of data privacy on this. I think that was good. My concern here is that it looks like these do not go to a court of law. There are 4 paragraphs of exemptions that you might have a defense that if you're allowing a passage of an emergency vehicle, avoiding a person, some things on bottom of page 4 there, E, F, G, and H. But it doesn't go to, looks like it doesn't go to a court of law. It goes to a code enforcement board in the county, and I can't tell if there's a lawyer process or not. And there would be as a plaintiff is trying to explain why if they had a legitimate reason to pass the school bus arm, I don't see a court of law involved, a court of justice, or a lawyer representation saying here's what happened, or any kind of a plea agreement. It looks like you're guilty until proven innocent, and the computer evidence is unimpeachable. And I've got grave concerns as we head down that slippery slope. If we want to hire more law enforcement officers to pull people over and give them $1,000 fine, that's fine. I think that's great to enforce safety, but handing that duty off to a computer is of grave concern to me.
Well, Representative Hodgson, thank you for the question, and I certainly I do certainly see your concerns. I think in response to that, though, is when I gave the amount of violations that had been handed out in a 1-year period, and there was only 138 convictions of that specific there were only 138 convictions in a 365-day period. We are missing tens and tens and tens of thousands of these. And I don't have this bill here just to have somebody arrested or convicted or have to pay a fine. I think it would be great if we had law enforcement officers to cover every single bus that we had in the state of Kentucky. I think that would be wonderful. I have received calls from superintendents from far west Kentucky and far east Kentucky. This has certainly struck a chord with a lot of school superintendents around the state, and they don't even know me. But they were very, very adamant in saying to me, we need this. We need this so much because we have so many children that are at such risk exiting and entering onto our school buses. And back to the second part of your comment, Representative, if I may, please, Mr. Chairman. The majority of our counties in Kentucky, and if you'll notice the language there, the majority of them do not have a code enforcement board. But if you would read on there in that bill, if there's not a code enforcement board in that county, it would go to the district court. And again, most of our counties do not have that code enforcement, but the district court then would handle that if they don't.
Very good. Representative Herron.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a clarification. I believe that when you were talking about the bill, you said that if the person who is driving the car doesn't own the car, that the person who is driving is the one that receives the ticket. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And how would that
be proven?
Yeah, how would that be proven?
That would probably be hard. That would probably be difficult to prove, Representative Herron. I think, if the person that is driving doesn't own the car, we certainly couldn't hold, I think, the owner of that car responsible if they had given that automobile to someone else to drive. But again, that would, unless there would be complete, undeniable evidence that this individual was the driver of that car, I agree, it would be somewhat hard to prove that. And that's a great point, and I appreciate they bringing that to my attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Camiel, right? Camiel. It's like Samuel. I'll get it eventually.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got a question and a comment, if I may. Representative, thank you for bringing this bill. You and I spoke yesterday.
Yes, we did.
And I work for Fayette County Public Schools, and I shared with you one of the aspects of my job that is often difficult. I work with 39 elementary schools, as well as our middle. I get information about incidents that occur with our middle schools and high schools, but anytime a child is struck by a car, I get that notification. Depending on the time of day, I may be the first person who gets that notification, and then I start the process of notifying everybody involved in our emergency team, our law enforcement team. So I think this is really important legislation that we bring forward. It may not be perfect, as you said, but I think it's a good first step. Safety of our children is imperative, and I think that's something that we all want. So that's my comment. So thank you for bringing it. My question is, and I think you said it, but I might have missed it. If a district wants to participate,
Yes.
if they want these cameras on their stop arms,
Yes.
but they cannot afford it. Are there options? Would it require the whole state to accept free cameras, or can an individual district say, "Hey, we need help paying for this because we want the service"?
In my thank you, Representative Camille. And we had a very positive conversation about this yesterday, and you certainly informed me of some things that I really didn't know. But yes, if at some point that vendors could be brought into this that would purchase these for the districts, no one would be forced to do that. It would just still be a decision that they could make if they wanted to so choose. And actually, I might add, Mr. Chair, there are actually 24 states in the United States today that have this. From a lot of different parts of the country have this. And again, it would not be mandated. I wish everybody had them. I wish they could afford to do them, but I know the cost is exorbitant. But thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative Hale, for bringing this. As a former law enforcement officer in a municipality, I saw firsthand how difficult it was to enforce these items, and those numbers don't surprise me a bit because I saw it firsthand. Bus drivers dealing with students, trying to get kids off and trying to catch a license plate,
Yes.
and they might not know if it's a silver car or a gray car or whatever it is. And I think this does a good job in capturing that and hopefully increasing the enforcement of that. I think it's a good bill. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
All right, I'm going to make an exception and go back for round two for Representative Hodgson quickly.
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is just a follow-up on the funding question.
Yes, sir.
You said there were vendors willing to come in and pay for this. Does that mean that those vendors would have some method to recoup their investment by taking a portion of the proceeds from this? Why would a vendor fund cameras here?
They would be able to take a portion of that to recoup their expenses. Yes, that was in the previous bill that I had 2 years ago. I never filed this bill in 23, but in 2022, this basically the exact same bill that I had filed then. There was more than one vendor that was involved in this, and there's several vendors. But in that specific piece of legislation, you can go back and look it up 2 years ago, 60% of the revenue that would have been collected from the fine would have went to the vendor to help pay the cost. 40% of that would have then been returned to the school district. Except for the amount that would be taken by the local law enforcement agency, their part, which was very minimal in actually distributing and giving out sending the citations.
So the vendor would collect the majority of the revenue from these citations?
Well, in this, I do not have that in this specific legislation, but I'm willing to talk to them. But in previous legislation, they would receive 60% of that revenue. Of course, the vendors are in business to make money. Certainly they are. But again, I think when we look at this, the safety issues on this, if we could get this on 8,000 plus buses in Kentucky, I think it would be worth what we had to give up in those fees. Mr. Chairman, if I could add one, in my opinion, unless there has been something changed in the last couple of years that I did not know about, our last fatality involving a school bus was not a child, it was a parent. It was a parent in Breathitt County, Kentucky. I have his name here, but I won't say that in the public, but he had taken his child to the bus. This happened on Route 15 in Breathitt County. He had taken his child to the bus to get on the bus that morning, and as he walked back across the road, a car struck and killed him. And the stop arm was engaged. I don't know exactly what that individual was charged with, but that's been about 3 years ago.
Motion on the bill as amended by the committee sub.
Have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion made and second on the bill as amended by the committee sub. Let me say this. If you came in late and you did not get a register of vote on House Bill 592, we will allow you to do that after we finish the vote on House Bill 461. Then the secretary will then record those votes. So with that being said, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Branscombe.
Yes.
Representative Bridges, Representative Camuel,
Yes.
Representative Dixon,
Yes.
Representative Elliott,
Mr. Chairman, may I explain my vote?
You may.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the effort that you've put into this bill. I know that you explained the torturous process that it has gone through, and I know I've experienced that as well here in the General Assembly with bills that
Yes, sir.
have almost gotten across the finish line, but just not quite, and you never understand why. I want to cast an aye vote. I would like to see all of these violations go through the district court instead of a code enforcement board, because I think what the effect may very well be is that counties may begin to set these boards up if this, hopefully this does pass and become law, but they may very well begin to set these boards up in these counties to deal with these violators. So I would prefer it go through the district court, but otherwise I think you've done a good job here. And I think the vendor issue was an issue in terms of previous versions. So I compliment you on taking that out. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Fleming,
Aye.
Representative Hale,
Yes.
Representative Heverin,
Yes.
Representative Herron,
Yes.
Representative Hodgson,
Echoing Representative Elliott's concerns, I have to vote no.
Understand.
Representative Huff, Representative Imes,
Yes.
Representative Lewis,
Yes.
Representative McCool,
Yes.
Representative Mosier,
Yes.
Representative Neighbors,
Yes.
Representative Palumbo,
Yes.
Representative Roberts,
Yes.
Representative Smith,
Yes.
Representative Tackett Lafferty,
Yes.
Representative Thomas,
Aye.
Representative Upchurch, Representative Wesley, Representative Williams,
Yes.
Chairman Blam.
Aye. House Bill 461 is reported with favorable expression with the committee substitute attached thereto. Next up on the agenda,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
you're welcome. Next up on the agenda, we do have a administrative reg for review, and we do have Will Fogel, General Counsel with Transportation Cabinet, here to give a brief explanation and answer any questions members might have about that reg change.
Afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. This is oh, go ahead. Introduce yourself.
Rob Thompson, Kentucky Transportation Cabinet Permits Branch Manager.
This is an amendment to the vegetation management regulation that was required to clean it up. Basically, what needed to be done was to replace the mitigation recipient. The Kentucky Natural Lands Trust, who was the mitigation recipient, declined further participation, so that needed to be changed. And now the Transportation Cabinet will receive and administer the mitigation funds, and also the Indiana BAT language that was in the former regulation was changed because that only applies to federally funded projects. So basically, it's just a cleanup of the existing regulation that needed to be accomplished.
Thank you, gentlemen. Any members have any questions? That was quick and painless. Thank you, gentlemen. Let the record reflect the committee has reviewed the regulations and members have been given the opportunity to ask any questions. Now, for those that came in late and you would like to record a vote on House Bill 592, Representative Heverin.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I apologize. I had to present in Senate Banking and Insurance, and as you know, it's that time of year where we try to go back and forth. So I do need to record an aye vote on House Bill 592.
Thank you, Representative Heverin. Representative Neighbors.
I also was hanging out with Samara in Senate Banking and Insurance and would also like to record a yes vote on
Thank
592.
Is there anyone else? If not, that will conclude our business for today. We thank you all.